Hello everyone. Good evening and welcome to the this episode of ELLC. Today we will be learning um, short story through this slides. What is a short story? What is a short story? In your notebook, write your own definition of a short story, please. What short story is? Do not write a story that is short. Please don't do that. Use what you know about short stories in the past. Below your definition, brainstorm about short stories. Any words you have learned connected to short stories, titles of short stories, authors, etc. The short story, let us look at some definitions. The short story gives the illusion of life. It is a tiny capsule of living, a moment or two in the lives of other people. A short story is a story that is under 40,000 words in length. So, a short story. A short story is a story that can be read in a single setting. But there is much more to the genre called the short story. Vocabulary, a noun, a word that refers to people, places, or things. Common noun, a noun that refers to a general person, place, or thing, e.g., boy, dog, city, book. Proper noun is a noun that refers to a specific person, place, or thing. Proper nouns are essentially nouns with names and are always capitalized, e.g., Johnny, Sport, Saint John. Q for treason. Common noun and proper nouns exercise. Now, write the following words in your notebook. When you do that, indicate whether each is a proper noun, that is PN, or a common noun, CN. Begin the word with the proper capital or lowercase. Alex, Service Moncton, River, Easter, Orange. Hampton High School, CD player, Tim Hortons. You have 3 minutes to complete this exercise. I will be calling people randomly for answers during the live class. Vocabulary. Theme. Now, the theme of a story represents what the protagonist, main character, or reader learns about life. It is the message that the author is sending through the story. The story is the medium for the message. Besides being shorter, how is a story different? How is a short story different from a novel? Short stories and novels seem to begin in very different ways in my mind. With a novel, the main characters come first. They grow slowly in the imagination until I feel I know them all. Most short stories I have written seem to be triggered off by some events, either in my own life or something I have observed. The characters in short story seem just real to me as the characters in a novel, but I have not seen them in my mind in as many situations. They are visualized more in relation to one main situation. One form is not better than the other. They simply do not serve the same function. When I write a novel, I feel rather like a juggler trying to keep a dozen themes spinning up there in the air. In my short stories, on the other hand, there tends to be one central theme. This is a quotation of Margaret Laurence, a novelist and short story writer. Margaret Laurence is a famous Canadian novelist, one of the co-authors in the field known as Canadian literature. In 1986, after a grim diagnosis of lung cancer that had spread throughout her body, Lawrence took her own life in 1987. Her best-known novels are The Stone. Her best-known novels are The Stone Angel and The Diviners. Her 1966 novel, A Jest of God, received the Governor of General's Award for fiction. Vocabulary, genre, a class or category having a particular form, technique, content, etc. e.g., poetry, novels, fantasy, science fiction, prose, the ordinary form of spoken or written language as distinguished from poetry or verse. Fiction, the class of literature comprising works of imaginative narration. The short story genre. The short story, the oldest form of literature, prose fiction, a distinct genre like poetry, novels, plays. Every word counts. Every word counts. There is a strong focus on the word choice because this is how the author prunes and polishes the piece to meet his or her objectives. History of the short story genre. We can see this, we can go through this and read ourselves. The story, the history still continues. Initial short story assignment. Now, read the short story assigned to you. In this case, you are to read and listen as I read the story in the next video. Answer the following questions after then. Draw a plot diagram. Label the parts of the diagram. Identify the parts of the story. What is the setting of the story? How do you think? How do you know? Use proof from the story. Identify the main conflict of the story. Describe that conflict. What purpose does this story serve? Support your answer with proof from the story. What is the theme of this story? Explain how the author makes this clear through plot and character development. The short story as art. Purpose and audience matters. Artist, that is in most cases the writer or the sender of the message. Medium, that is the art. Receiver, these are the audience, that is the readers or listeners. The communication model above demonstrate the relationship between an artist and the receiver of the art. When an artist set out to create art, he or she determines three things: purpose, What am I writing to accomplish? Audience. For whom am I creating this art? Medium. What art form am I going to use? In terms of a short story, the model looks more precisely like this. Author, short story, reader. Short stories are not the spontaneous product of the natural world. The author deliberately brings his or her writing talent to bear in order to bring something to the reader. That is the purpose. Why short stories? There are principally three reasons for writing short stories. One, to entertain. The first purpose of a short story is to enjoy it. Authors want to enjoy a short story and usually to pay money for it. Why short stories? To entertain, to teach. Often the author has a particular point of view on the issue he or she wants to share. The story is the medium the author uses to convey the message. This is the stage of analysis at which understanding symbol, meaning, and other literary devices are important. To entertain, to reach, to raise awareness. One, often a specific message from the author is not clear. Other themes, there is no message from the author per se. Rather, the author might be simply trying to get the reader to think about the things in a new way, or to question things that the reader might have already made up his mind or her mind about. These are the three. The conversation of birds. Why short stories? We all know this. It is important to remember that each short story can have two or all three purposes at the same time. 5. The 5 elements of a short story. 1. Plot. 2. Character. 3. Setting. 4. Atmosphere. 5. Style. Plot. Plot, the arrangement of incidents or events in the story. What happens in the next story? Then, plot line, a way of visually demonstrating a story's structure by plotting incidents along a line. Plot lines can vary from different forms of fiction. Plot of a short story. Let us consider this diagram. Plot of a short story. Let us pay attention to the numbers and the signs indicated and the arrows on this screen. 1. Exposition. Opening situation. The reader is informed of the setting and is introduced to the main characters. Inciting force or complication. A conflict is usually established between characters. This conflict gets things started. Rising action. The conflict between characters develops and becomes more pronounced, involves a series of conflicts. Plot of a story. Number 4. Climax. The moment of greatest suspense, a point of conflict that will lead to the resolution of the main plot. Fallen action, the result of the outcome of the climactic conflict, can involve a crisis, but in a short story is usually very short. Denouement or resolution or final outcome. The writer attempts to have the reader leave the story testified. Now consider this short story that you will be watching in the next um, video. The three little pigs. Okay, use this diagram and carry out the following assignment. Analyze the three little pigs through in your notebook. Draw a plot line. Level the plot line with numbers and dots for the crisis. Then, using the numbers as a key or guide, explain the plot of the three little pigs. Also, jot down in a couple of sentences what you think is the author's intention behind the story. How do you know? You may work with a partner on this. This is an assignment. Thank you and goodbye.